Today on CityCast Philly, it's Tuesday, everyone, which means we're rounding up the biggest news stories around Philly. City Council approved the city budget. A Philly sports mascot has a new song. Plus, how well have you been following the news? It's Tuesday, June 11th. I'm Trinity Marie, and here's what Philly's talking about. Joining me is Anna Orso, City Hall reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Hey, Anna.
Hey, Trinae. Thanks for having me.
Sure. And Asha Prahar, our Hey Philly newsletter editor. Hey, Asha.
Hi, good to be here.
Great to have you. All right, let's start our conversation with some big news, the city budget. It was approved unanimously last week. This is Mayor Sherrell Parker's first. This is huge for a mayor, especially a first-time mayor, right?
Yeah, this is a big deal. You know, a city budget is when a mayor really has their first big opportunity to advance their agenda through spending and revenue. And so getting a city budget through city council, and especially in this way, Sherrell Parker got really all of what she asked for, was a really big deal.
Anna, let's talk about some of the highlights. Starting with University City Townhomes in West Philly, that really caught my eye. That is getting some funding.
Correct. The final budget deal has $14 million in it for the Philadelphia Housing Authority to redevelop into affordable housing the space that used to hold University City Townhomes. The city came to an agreement last year with the developers who were closing the space that they would redevelop it into 70 affordable homes. But Mayor Parker's initial budget proposal didn't have money in it to finance that.
Right.
So council members, especially on the more progressive side, really fought for that funding, and it ended up in the final deal.
Nice. Another standout was rec centers and libraries. They're getting some funding too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty common throughout the budget process for city council members to fight for funding for parks and recreation centers and libraries that are in their own district. It gives them an ability to go back to their districts and say, hey, look what I fought for you. It's a real win for them. So a lot of major recreation centers and parks got money in the capital budget, which means that the city is borrowing money to basically be able to do renovations. One of the biggest projects will be at McPherson Square Library, which is really in the heart of Kensington and where we've seen a lot of the drug activity in the neighborhood. That library that sits there sort of on a hill in the middle of the neighborhood is getting $8.5 million for renovations.
Great. I know a lot of people, a lot of city workers are looking at that deadline when they have to return back to the office full time. That deadline is approaching July 15th. There's been mixed reviews, but the budget included some expanded benefits for city workers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It allows the city to offer 10 weeks of paid parental leave for municipal employees. That's up from 6 weeks. So it's a big jump for working parents, especially. And there's also money in the budget for the city to continue to study how work from the office impacts working parents, especially. And there will also additionally be a week of child and elder care available for working parents and caregivers who are looking for care. So, it all amounted to about $7 million, a really small amount in the grand scheme of the $6.3 billion budget, but, nonetheless still meaningful for 25,000 city employees.
What also stood out to me in this budget was that council also approved Mayor Parker's $100 million Northeast Drug Rehab Center. Can you tell us more about that? Because that's been controversial.
It has been controversial. So when Mayor Parker proposed her budget in March, she asked council to approve $100 million in borrowing for the city to construct wellness and triage centers for people who use drugs. But there were really very, very few details at the time available about how many centers they were going to build, where they were going to put them, and what services they would offer. So about 2 days before council was scheduled to give an initial approval to the budget, members of the administration finally sat down with members and gave them a breakdown of what exactly they want to build and how they would spend the money. What they want to do is have one center in Northeast Philadelphia that's adjacent to the jail complex. We're talking fenced in, barbed wire, secure facility in a space where there are, about a half dozen buildings that they want to renovate. And they also want to build 2 more buildings. The idea is that after a 3-year process, there could be upwards of 600 beds available for people who are being treated for using drugs. So that would represent a big expansion of what is available in the city for people with substance use disorder.
Anything else stand out for you all in the budget?
Yeah, I would say the one other thing that I found really interesting was that there were no tax cuts for businesses. Mayor Parker, when she laid out her budget proposal, said, we're not going to continue, at least this year, the city's practice of incrementally reducing taxes on businesses. And there were a couple more business-oriented members of council who were, kind of aggrieved by that. They really want to see the city do more to reduce the tax burden on both small businesses and corporations. But a few days before the budget was approved, the members who have traditionally pushed for those cuts said that they were dropping it this year. They're certain to bring it up again next year, but at least for now, City Council is trying to show the public that they are aligned with this new mayor and how she wants to achieve her goals.
I was just going to ask you that. What's the relationship between Mayor Parker and City Council?
I think it shows us that they're trying to go into the summer on a high note. So Mayor Parker came in January. Things were sort of in a honeymoon period. Council was really excited about a lot of what she was trying to do in terms of improving public safety and cleaning up the city. But there were some real hiccups this spring in terms of the relationship between Mayor Parker and City Council that made people wonder, are they going to be able to work together in the future? Probably the biggest dust up was over the school board. Mayor Parker proposed, people who she was going to appoint to her school board, and council basically blocked one of her picks. And then she went around council to sit that person on the school board anyway. So that was a pretty big dust up between the mayor and council. And there were a few other really tense moments during budget negotiations. But by the end of this budget season, they were able to come to an agreement. And like I said earlier, they really gave the mayor everything that she had asked for in this first budget. So they're definitely trying to project unity here.
And Anna, this is a little civics question. So what are the next steps in this budget process?
Good question. So weirdly, the budget didn't technically pass yet. Council gave it initial approval through what's called Committee of the Whole, which is a committee made up of every single council member. What happens is that now this week, they will officially pass it on Thursday. And then after that, it's still not law until Mayor Parker signs it, which obviously, given it's her budget proposal, she's expected to do. So right. The budget will officially take effect on July 1st, assuming no hiccups through that process.
This is all before that summer recess. More news after the break. Shifting gears, I've got to ask y'all, when you think of Philly, our beautiful city, what song comes to mind?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. What song comes to mind? Probably the Eagles fight song. I don't know.
Eagles, Eagles.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of in a similar vein. I feel like for me, it's maybe not a whole song, but like 2 albums, and it's like the Eagles Christmas albums. I absolutely love them. And I really liked the twist that they did on Fairy Tale of New York, which was like Fairy Tale of Philadelphia. I thought that was a nice little song.
Nice. I think same with me. I think the Philadelphia Eagles is doing a great marketing campaign to keep us thinking of them. So the song that makes me think of Philly is Meek Mill's Dream and Nightmares, especially during that time when the Philadelphia Eagles won their first ever Super Bowl back in 2018. That song is super nostalgic for me. Well, the reason why I asked y'all what song reminds you of Philly is because Philly has another song to sing. And this time it celebrates one of our sports mascots. So over the weekend, Philharmonia debuted a song called A Gritty Resolution. It is a choral hymn written by a Philadelphian, Melissa Dunphy, and it's all about the orange fuzzy Philadelphia Flyer mascot. Can you imagine people singing this choral like him in the middle of a hockey game? His passion for hockey and hot dogs. I love it. I love it. So, according to the Enquirer, this song is believed to be the first choral work based on a city's resolution honoring a sports mascot. And just a quick reminder, City Council passed this resolution honoring Gritty back in 2018. What also really surprised me was to see former council member Helen Gim's name on the flyer. But again, Gim was a part of honoring Gritty back in 2018. So it makes sense. And so this past weekend, the group Philharmonia sung the song at their 10th anniversary concert over at the Settlement Music School's Germantown branch. And they also sung another Philly-related song. You guys know that song from 6ABC Action News, Move Closer to Your World.
Of course.
Move closer to your world, my friend. Reactions. What are your reactions to a Gritty resolution?
I have to say first that I think it's funny that the Enquirer pointed out that this was like the first choral work based on a city's resolution honoring a sports mascot, because that is such a narrow category of thing. That's like, wow, the first. Who would have thought?
Right.
But yeah, I think this song is so like, it's such a funny concept. It's not what I would expect for a Gritty song. Like, I feel like if you were like, there's going to be a song about Gritty, I'd probably guess that it would be like, I don't know, maybe like heavy metal. Gritty's kind of like, I don't know, like intimidating. I think like the like sound of heavy metal is a little intimidating too. Or like, I don't know, just like because Gritty is so silly, maybe like something that's like kind of like elevator music-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this is, I think it's really entertaining for what it is, but I would have never expected it, which I think is part of what makes it so entertaining.
For sure. Anna, what are your thoughts?
My hot take here is that it should really be about Philadelphia's greatest mascot, the Fanatic.
Yes.
So no one at me over that.
Right. That's funny. I feel like the song is beautiful, right? It's so warm, but it's hard for me to kind of like hear this being sung, during a sports game. Like, Eagles, Eagles, is like easier to say. And, this song is just a little more challenging. And it's like hard to like hear the catchy lines. Like you have to really like, let me listen to really hear it. So I don't know. Anyway, thanks for the song. Our final segment. Let's have some more fun with our weekly news quiz.
Yeah. So we just talked about music and Philly. And so for the first question, we're gonna stay on that theme a little bit. So over the weekend, the former Verizon Hall at the Kimmel Center, that's where the Philadelphia Orchestra plays, it was renamed for a famous Philadelphia musician. So my question is, who was it? And I've got some choices for you. This is multiple choice. So A, John Coltrane, B, Billie Holiday, C, Patti LaBelle, or D, Marian Anderson?
I'm going for D.
What do you think, Anna?
Yeah, I'll go for D as well.
Okay, you guys are both right. It's Marian Anderson.
Yes, I remember this headline, actually. Yes.
Yes. So for anyone who might not be familiar with her, Marian Anderson was a classical singer who lived between 1897 and 1993, so very long life. She was an internationally known, very awarded musician during her time. She achieved a lot in her career despite facing racial discrimination for being Black, including she performed in a leading role at the Metropolitan Opera in New York. And she also performed for this big crowd in front of the Lincoln Memorial in DC at the invitation of the Roosevelts. That might be something you learned about in history class. Very historic moment. So she was from Philly, and some donors bought the naming rights for this music hall on Broad Street, which is inside the Kimball Center, earlier this year, and they decided to name it after her. So the renaming ceremony was on Saturday, and according to WHYY, Anderson's family was actually in attendance.
Oh, that's
so
great.
Now it's going to be called Anderson Hall.
That is so cool. I'm so happy Marian Anderson is getting her flowers.
Yeah, for sure.
There's also supposed to be like a statue of her put up in the next couple of years. So very exciting.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Are you guys ready for the second question?
Yes.
Hit me.
Cool. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the University of the Arts lately, since the school closed with only a week's notice last Friday. And I know it's been reported that Temple is exploring a possible merger to help save the school.
Right.
No solid news on that yet, but the Inquirer reported this week that UArts is actually in talks with a different Philly university about a potential merger 2 years ago. So the question, which school?
I think I know, but maybe I'll let Trinae go first.
No. I have no idea. I'll let you go so I can say something else.
I'm fairly certain it's Drexel University.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, okay, good. Because
Yeah, it's Drexel. So according to this Inquirer article, the talks didn't end up going anywhere because the schools didn't sort of have the same vision for what a partnership could look like. But the president of Drexel told the paper that the two institutions ended the talks cordially. But yeah, it just never worked out.
Interesting.
And so for the final question, this is about state government. So we're going to look at something that happened in Harrisburg. So the Pennsylvania State House passed a bill last week that would fund a certain type of item being available to students for free in some public schools. What type of item am I talking about?
Is it menstrual products?
Yeah, it is.
Good.
You guys,
okay.
Perfect scores today. This
Awesome.
is awesome. We love it.
Good job.
Yeah, it's menstrual hygiene products. So this bill, it would create a $3 million grant program for public schools where 25% or more students are enrolled in free or reduced cost lunch. So these schools would have to apply for it, and if they qualify, they'd be able to use grant money to buy pads and tampons. However, this hasn't been passed by the state Senate yet, so it depends on that. It passed 117 to 85 in the state House, so it had some support from both Democrats and Republicans, but it still has to get through the state Senate. So yeah, I guess we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, for sure. That was Asha Prahar, our Hey Philly newsletter editor, and Anna Orso, City Hall reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Thank you both so much for joining me on CityCast Philly.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode about the budget and Gritty's new song, tell someone who's a Flyers fan. Rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.
So option 1, or choice number A, or cut that.
Number A.
Number A.